Hi, I'm Pat and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to install something new on the BMW i8 that makes my oil changes easier. Years ago I used to have a quick drain valve on my other vehicles. In fact, Fram used to make them and they worked pretty well. All you had to do was replace your oil drain plug with a valve, and then you would install a device that would open that valve, and it had a tube on it so that you could drain your oil directly into some other container and not splash oil all over the place. So when I found this device online, I figured I'd give it a try in the BMW i8. I'm due for an oil change anyway, so today I'm going to install it. Now, if you're interested in learning how to change your oil, there's links in the description below. I created a video very early on in my channel, and Heidi and Franny also just did an oil change, so links to those videos in the description. While I'm also doing the oil change, I'm going to send out an oil sample to Blackstone to see just how this BMW i8 has been doing on its oil. They'll measure different values to see just how the oil is and whether or not I have any type of metal in my oil. All right, we have the shop cat here. The shop cat's not supposed to be out here. Hey, psst. So I'm going to go ahead and gather some sample of oil in this container while it's draining from the oil pan. And then I can place it in here, and then place this around it in case there's a leak, and place it all in here along with this information card that I have to fill out that says how many miles have been on the car. So I drove the car for about 5,000 miles. I'm not exactly sure how many of those miles were electric compared to gas. So it could be 4,000 gas, it could be 4,500, I don't know. But either way, as of the time of the filming, this costs about $28, so I figured I'd give it a try. FCP Euro, I can get my oil for free. Oil changes are practically free. So why not spend the $28 and get my oil analysis? So I figured I'd give this a try. And this is the device that replaces my oil plug. So there's a ball in here, and it also has this cover that goes over the end in case there's any type of a potential problem with that valve. This will prevent any oil from coming out of the engine. It comes with a crush washer, and it also comes with this tube. This screws into the valve and it allows it to release. So effectively what this does is you put this in your engine, you leave it there all the time. When you screw this device into this, it allows oil to come down this tube and into a container so you don't get oil all over the place. And then when you're done, you screw this cap on. It has a seal on it, so in case this valve does fail, then this is your backup. This prevents oil from coming out of the engine. So I'm going to install this after draining the oil. But while I'm draining the oil, I'm going to go ahead and send my oil analysis kit off to Blackstone. So like I said, it's been about 5,000 miles since I did my oil change last. I'm going to go ahead and dump the oil now, and if you want to see how to do that oil change, there's a link in the description below for both me and Heidi and Franny's video and how to do the oil change on the BMW i8. So let's get the oil plug out of here first. There we go. And then I could do my oil analysis here. Yep, there we are. It is messy. I'm looking forward to doing this next time with my quick drain kit. Okay, so I can cap off my oil sample. And we'll put that off to the side. Right now that my oil change is complete, I only have a few drips left here coming out of the bottom of the oil pan. Now I took the valve that screws into the oil pan that had an O-ring attached to it, and I decided to take the O-ring off because then that way I could get a 15/16 socket to fit over this and I could torque it down. So at this point I can go ahead and make sure that the washer is on the end of it, and then I could screw it into the bottom of the oil pan. Okay, so I'm just going to clean up some of the oil, and I already have my torque wrench set correctly, so that was 18.4 pounds-feet or 25 Newton-meters. Got the torque wrench set correctly, put my 15/16 over everything here, and go to 25 Newton-meters or 18.4 pounds-feet. So at this point I can go ahead and install the O-ring over top. And this is just for the seal that gets screwed on the outside. Okay, O-ring is installed, and now I can put the outer cover on. And the outer cover here has a little rubber attachment, so you can't lose this. It's kind of interesting, so I'm going to make sure I get it on the right way. And just push that over top of everything. So it's all the way at the bottom. And then you can take and screw that shut. So this is clearly up and out of the way. It's not going to get anything hitting it. If something does hit it, it'd be the same as the oil plug. It's not really intruding down beyond the cover on the bottom of the car. So that looks really good. It's nice and tight. Everything is secured. So I can now fill this with oil, and we'll have to check back to make sure that it's not leaking. I do want to drive it. I want to make sure that we don't have a leak here, so I can get back on the top side and finish my oil change. So I've completed my oil change, went ahead and put 4 liters of oil in the BMW i8 engine. And when I drained it out, I always get exactly 4 liters out of this. So I like to use this oil container because it's graduated, and I get 4 liters out every time I change the oil, which is great. I can monitor my oil usage that way. I've also gone ahead and packaged up my oil sample. So put it inside this bag, and this is an absorbent material. I'm going to fill out my cards and then put it into this container, seal it up, and it has the Postal Service return on it. So this is going in the mail, and when it gets back, we'll go ahead and take a look at the results. So I've received my results back from Blackstone Laboratories, and number one, just a note, I changed my oil at approximately 5,000 miles. So there's 5,000 miles on the oil, which is a half interval compared to the 10,000 miles that BMW suggests we change the oil at. Now the oil is designed to last a long time, but if you don't know what's happening inside your engine, that oil may not last for 10,000 miles. And in my case, it's actually appropriate to change the oil early. Now I'm an early adopter of a half interval oil change. I've done this for many years. Yes, the oil can last 10,000 miles, but I don't know what's happening inside my engine, so therefore I do not want to continue to run that oil in the engine for a long period of time because oil is cheaper than an engine. So let's take a look at the results. Up in the top section here, it shows all the different kinds of metals and additives that are in my oil. In the first column, it was the finding for this particular oil change. In the next column, which is grayed out, it's an average of all my previous oil analysis. So I only had one, so the numbers are the same. But over on the far right side are the universal averages, and these are all the other oil samples for the B38 engine that's used in the BMW i8 as well as the Mini Cooper. And what they noted was the viscosity, the flash point, and the fuel percentage all say that this oil is being diluted by fuel. So I went to the web and I tried to learn about what other BMW i8 owners were experiencing. And I went to BimmerPost and searched for oil analysis, and back came the Blackstone Labs report for one user. And it shows he had 3 oil changes, and each year he had his oil changed, and it was typically below 10,000 miles. But in each case, he either had a lower viscosity than normal or a lower flash point than normal. Now, a lower flash point means that there's some kind of fuel in that oil because it's burning at a lower temperature than it normally would if there was no fuel in it. Granted, I only have a few samples from a few people, but it's telling me that there's something going on with fuel getting into the oil. Now, I would typically recommend running a 0W30 oil in this engine. I would not run a 0W20. Manufacturers are trying to get us to use a lower weight oil in order to improve fuel economy. Why? Well, as that crankshaft passes down into the oil, there's drag. And if you have a thicker oil down there, it reduces gas mileage. A thinner oil doesn't impact the gas mileage. Now, there haven't been any changes in this B38 engine from the time the engine was produced, from what I found on the web. So a conversion from a 30 weight oil to a 20 weight oil all of a sudden for no changes in an engine means that they're trying to get better gas mileage out of these cars. So I am highly concerned about using a 0W20. I'm going to stick to a 30 weight oil, whether it's a 0W or a 5W30 in this engine. So I'm going to be following up to this video after I perform my next oil change, and I'm going to show how this product works here, this valve in order to quickly drain the oil, and also my next results from my oil analysis. Expect that after 4,000 or 5,000 miles of driving, and I'm also testing a different kind of oil, so stay tuned for that. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that bell for notifications, as I'll be posting more BMW i8 content. Thanks for watching, and happy motoring.